Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one again about the NFL's decision to appeal the Deshaun Watson suspension.
Hi, guys. Regarding the Watson suspension, do you really think it was public opinion or more outcry from the national media that influenced the NFL and Roger Goodell? Secondary, I loved the show yesterday. Your media experts were spot on. Your first one stated there'd have to be a different game plan with Jacoby Brissett. I can see that. He said the defense would have to create more turnovers. Good point. First 4 games, you got mediocre quarterbacks. Best way to do that is stop the run and make them put it in the air. So I think a nose tackle becomes more important. Also, to put the cherry on top of those Sundays, you got the Patriots coming into town week 6, and they ran the ball down our throats last year. And they drafted a guard with their first-round pick, so I don't see any reason for them to change their modus operandi. Your opinions, please. Thank you.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Quincy, I think public opinion and the outcry from the national media are one and the same. The NFL was kind of taking the temperature of the 6-game suspension. Most people outside of Cleveland felt it was too light, so they decided they were going to up it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think, they were, once that came out 6 games, there was language in that contract that Sue Robinson, right, in the CBA, that Sue Robinson pointed out as to why she could not go more than 6 games, which is based off precedent and based off of what you have before. And since you don't have specific language in there for anything harsher than 6 games, this is what I'm going to give. So they were put in a corner where Sue Robinson's hands were tied, in her opinion, on what she could give because of the language in the CBA. So they had to address that. The question was, would they address it in the offseason and use Sue Robinson's ruling as a way to say, hey, look, this is what she said? Or would they do that, take the opportunity there to change the language, which is pretty much what they're attempting to do based off of action. But yeah, that was the main issue in that. Again, it's a tricky situation. It's a hard one to try to figure out where the league or why the league did it. I don't necessarily think it was 100% public outcry. I mean, that's always going to have a massive factor in what the league is going to decide here. But also, I think, just if you were arguing for a year and somebody said 6 games, it's probably going to be a hard pill for you to swallow, right? If you were on the other side of that argument. So I think that also has to do with it, right? That they wanted more than 6 games, well, more like a whole season, and they ended up with not even half of a season. That probably factored into it a greater deal than what people are assuming here with the public outcry. Because honestly, I know people were mad on TV and Twitter, but in this day and age, when the heat is really hot. The heat wasn't that hot on the NFL after that day. People were mad. They did their morning shows, but the next day the other news dropped and less people were talking about it. So it wasn't like the heat was so hot on them that they had to do something. It was more or less kind of we lost this argument really bad to Sue Robinson, and we're going to try to win this argument one way or the other.